We all drove up to Wyoming and, Garrison was our passenger.
I was the first one that held him. This is my son. I rocked him to sleep. This is part of my mourning process. It'll overcome me almost like some kind of anxiety attack. Just a deep, overwhelming feeling that I'll never see him again. There's so much left unsaid, so much left undone.
Hi besties, it's Harry from Wives Unmasked. Welcome back to the channel. Here's the good news I have for all of you. The producers of Sister Wives on TLC did not air the footage from the Nevada National Guard's memorial and ceremony honoring Garrison Brown. Thankfully, that sensitive content was kept off the show. Now, make no mistake, TLC absolutely attended the event. There are clear photographs showing cameraman Tim present. All of that is confirmed. My sources told me TLC showed up fully prepared to film, which understandably created major conflict with the family. Thankfully, they ultimately chose not to air any of that footage, and I'm honestly relieved it wasn't broadcast. However, what did dominate the episode was the narrative of Kody Brown presenting himself as the heartbroken father, a man grieving the loss of his son. That storyline was front and center. The episode featured what they called a pilgrimage, the journey to Wyoming for Garrison's burial. In this episode, Janelle mentioned that she wanted Garrison to be buried in Wyoming. She openly said she's not someone who believes in cremation, noting she always thought her feelings were faith-based, but then admitted, "I learned that's not actually a faith-based thing," even though it sort of is. For context, the AUB, Apostolic United Brethren, generally disapproves of cremation. They strongly prefer their people be buried traditionally. That's a belief within both the AUB and the FLDS. I can't speak definitively for the mainstream LDS, but that's what applies here. Ultimately, Janelle agreed to bury Garrison in a cemetery next to her mother. It seems they buried an urn, rather than a full casket. Regardless, the episode was highly disjointed, very fragmented. Kody and Robyn's so-called pilgrimage to Wyoming honestly had very little to do with Garrison at all. Instead, the episode presented several stark contrasts. Christine and David sat together, playing cards and having heartfelt conversations about the loss. Christine opened up about the last messages she received from Garrison, reflecting on missing warning signs and wondering what she might have done differently. David, in turn, was able to relate deeply. He shared that his wife had also taken her own life. He talked through the painful process of breaking the news to his children, feeling responsible, struggling with self-blame, and just navigating the heavy grief that comes with such a tragic loss. It was very clear David was a compassionate and strong support for Christine. Equally obvious was how deeply devastated Christine is by this loss. She spoke about Garrison's future plans, how he had just been accepted into nursing school. So here we have one side, people like Christine and, of course, his mother Janelle, who were sharing meaningful details about who Garrison actually was. And then there was Kody. As my sources had told me, Kody made the entire thing about himself. It wasn't about Garrison at all. It was Kody using this trip to Wyoming to show off neon signs that he had sold to retailers more than 20 years ago. He didn't make those signs, by the way. He only sold them. And he proudly paraded his kids around on a tour of these signs he'd sold. "Honestly, I was just stunned," he said. "I sold 2 of the coolest signs in this town. I sold probably 25, but I want to show you 2 of the coolest ones. This was another life. This is what I did. That's my sign right there. Oh, we're not seeing the neon flash. I'm pretty sure the word Sablere has red neon in front of it. That sign was made out of angle iron framing. An angle iron is a piece of metal bent in half." The entire segment featuring Kody and Robyn was just bizarre, and 100% about Kody. Robyn kept trying to interject during the interviews, awkwardly attempting to remind viewers they were supposedly in Wyoming for Garrison. It was painfully obvious that she was trying to narrate over what we were actually seeing on screen, attempting to convince us that it was all about honoring Garrison. But when you have to talk over footage and explain that it's not what it looks like, you're lying. What they showed was them walking around town, while Kody bragged endlessly about the old signs he sold 25 years ago. I found it wild that these businesses haven't updated their signs in all these years, but more importantly, none of it was about Garrison. None. And then there was this odd moment. Apparently, they took Garrison's urn with them in the car on this trip. Robyn said that Garrison was a passenger in their vehicle on the way to Wyoming. That absolutely punched me in the gut. Because let's be honest, you wouldn't have let Garrison in your car when he was alive. Yet now he's in your car after he's gone, and you're crying about how you're on a pilgrimage with him? It's insulting. Throughout the trip, Robyn's commentary was less about mourning Garrison and more about Kody's grief, focusing on whether Kody was coping in a healthy way. It almost felt like she was subtly implying that Kody's behavior wasn't healthy, but her concern wasn't about Garrison. It was about how Kody's grief might affect her. Meanwhile, Kody just kept rambling about the signs that nobody cared about. Robyn even rolled her eyes at him at one point. Then at dinner, again, they didn't discuss Garrison at all. Instead, Robyn steered the conversation toward how Kody's father loved the Wild West and how Kody was named after Buffalo Bill, whose last name was Kody, later changed to AK. They started talking about Buffalo Bill being a ladies' man, and Kody denied ever being a ladies' man himself. The whole conversation was weird and made no sense in the context of their trip. Then Brie, shrugged her shoulders, imitated Kody, and made a gesture by sticking her tongue out and flapping it, which, let's be honest, most of us know what that means. I sat there thinking, what are they even talking about? Why are they turning a discussion about Buffalo Bill into a weird, quasi-sexual conversation about Kody having wives and being a ladies' man? And more disturbingly, it became glaringly obvious that this entire family dynamic is centered on sitting around and hyping up Kody. They don't talk about themselves. Robyn doesn't reminisce about her own memories. The kids don't talk about themselves. Instead, they all sit there while Kody talks about how cool Kody is, because that's how Kody gets his validation, from his family worshiping him. Let's be clear here. No one at that table was talking about Garrison, the reason they were even there in the first place. Kody asked, "Are you excited to go to the ranch tomorrow? And then Sunday, we're going to the graveside funeral." He added, "It's bittersweet that we're laying him to rest, but we're doing it because we love him. And that day is about him. We're doing happy things so we can move on from mourning, so we can have faith." I fully understand that grief comes in waves and life continues. My own family has gone through deep losses. But here's what we've never done. We've never profited off the death of a loved one. We've never broadcasted our grief for fame or for a show. And we've never weaponized our grief, or lack of grief, as a storyline. Watching Kody and Robyn squeeze out crocodile tears for a young man they mistreated, disregarded, kicked out of their home, refused to let in their house, and essentially alienated. It's revolting. They're now trying to rewrite history and act like we forgot how they treated Garrison. We didn't forget. Robyn wasn't wanted or welcome at Garrison's services, and Garrison himself never would have wanted her there. Her comments like, "Oh, he's a passenger in our car," and "Oh, the graveside will be so sad," ring completely hollow. Kody trying to force a tear while justifying that all the self-indulgent activities we just watched were somehow okay, because on Sunday we're going to the graveside service. It's manipulative. I pray TLC does not air the actual graveside service. Some things are sacred and should not be shown on TV, and that is one of those things. Kody said, "Garrison's poster will always be in my garage. I'll always see it and wonder about the future that was lost." It's about moving through grief and making your blood sweet, not bitter. Let's pause. Kody just admitted that the memorial poster of his son, used at the Nevada National Guard ceremony, is in his garage. That confirms Garrison is still not welcome in Kody's home with Robyn, even after death. Yes, Kody likes to hang out in his garage. But why would you put a military memorial photo of your son in the garage? Your home is full of gaudy, cluttered art, ugly art covering every wall, but you don't have space for a framed photo of your son who served his country? Instead, it's in the garage where it will eventually be ruined by cold Flagstaff winters. It's disrespectful. Also, Kody lied in this episode. He said, "After the service, I left his remains with his brothers. A couple months later, I went and picked them up. I left them with them because they were his brothers." That's false. Kody never had custody of Garrison's remains. They were released to Janelle and her sons. They had custody the entire time until, allegedly, Kody picked them up later, though we don't know if that's even true because the urn wasn't shown on the show. Him saying, "I left them with his brothers," implies he had them to begin with, which is a lie. Some struggle to believe Kody wasn't on the kids' birth certificates. But when Janelle filed for bankruptcy in 1997, she listed herself alone as the parent of her 6 children, no spouse, no other parent able to claim them. For her to do that, she was legally stating Kody had no legal claim. Interestingly, years later, Kody listed Janelle's kids on his bankruptcy with Meri, even though he wasn't on their birth certificates. Again, Kody's history of deception is long. At the end of the day, none of this was about Garrison. It was about Kody crafting a narrative where he's the grieving father on a self-focused journey of loss. I'm relieved that TLC cut out the storyline of Robyn being the victimized wife abandoned by the family. But her talking heads made one thing clear. Her concern was solely about how Kody's behavior would affect her, not Garrison. She said things like, "Death changes people, and I just hope Kody handles it in a healthy way," because she selfishly didn't want to deal with Kody's grief since she disliked Garrison. That's my read. Why is Garrison's photo in the garage? Because Robyn hated Garrison and Garrison despised her. This trip, this episode, none of it was about Garrison. It was about Kody and Robyn. Also worth noting, this was filmed in June or July. But the emotional scene with Savannah and Janelle, which I'll discuss later, was filmed back in April. So these weren't even filmed at the same time. If Kody was truly on a pilgrimage with the family, where's the footage of him interacting with his other children? Oh, that's right. There isn't any because they want nothing to do with him after how he treated Garrison. That should tell you everything you need to know. Do you see any evidence of Kody with his other kids? No. It's disgusting. This was all a fabricated storyline. I feel genuine sadness for the rest of the family still dealing with this tragic loss. I have zero sympathy for Kody and Robyn, and I hate that they are exploiting Garrison in death. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss another video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye besties.